On the more serious side of the airline business, frequent flyers know that the price of an airline ticket can sometimes be exceeded by the total of fees and taxes added onto that ticket. The taxes you and I pay on a typical $300 domestic round-trip ticket, $61. That's a 20% tax bite. That's 3 times what we paid in 1972. Nick Calio is the president and CEO of the Air Transport Association of America. That's the airline industry's trade group, headquartered in D.C., and he and his members aren't the least bit happy about these high taxes on airline tickets. Welcome to the show, Mr. Calio. Nice to have you aboard.
Hello, Rudy. Thanks for having me.
Well, let's start with this. How did we get in this situation in the first place?
Well, I think we got into the situation either by what I would call benign neglect of the industry, or really taking the industry for granted because people figure that planes are always going to be around and they can always hop on a plane. Multiple agencies assess taxes against the industry, and they're not coordinated at all. There's really no tax policy. The industry is viewed more like a cash cow, and every time you have a good year, and we had a good year for the first time in 2010, for the first time in 10 years after losing $50 billion in the previous 10 years, and all of a sudden people are talking about more taxes. The taxes have really gone unchecked. There's a total of $16 billion a year assessed against the airline industry. 20 years ago, it was $3.7 billion. So the taxation of the industry has been on autopilot, rising steadily without interruption, gone up 38%. It hurts all of us, really, because people and passengers and packages cost more to ship as prices go up. So the passengers pay, the airlines pay, and we're in a situation where the industry is not profitable, and that prospect can't continue, really.
I would also gather that since passengers aren't really a unified group, it's easier for politicians to levy taxes on a diffused group than, say, the city of Milwaukee, for example, where people might say, hey, wait a minute, what's going on here?
I think that's absolutely right, and I think that members of Congress and policymakers here in Washington do it without regard for the overall impact on the industry, and I think it's a question that we have to face. That's why ATA, the Air Transport Association, is calling for a national airline policy. There's been 4 commissions started by presidents and Congress over the last 18 years. All have come to the same conclusion, that the industry has a problem. It's overtaxed, it's overregulated, and the infrastructure isn't there to allow it to grow. There's been no action on those 4 commissions. We think that it's time for action, and somebody's got to start paying attention to it. Otherwise, the industry is going to be in a bad way. I mean, basically, for the last 10 years, everybody, again, I think, takes the industry for granted, but you can't keep flying passengers for less than it costs the airline to fly them. And that's exactly what's been happening, Rudy.
Is anybody paying attention in Washington?
Kind of, to be honest, but only kind of. And what we're trying to do is force a focus on the difficulties in the industry. We're not asking for any kind of handout. We're asking Congress to take a look, and our regulators to take a look at the situation in the industry and to finally take some action to put the industry in a place where it can be more competitive with our foreign rivals and do the kind of things for the economy that it really can do. Right now, the industry does more for the economy than almost any other industry. It drives jobs, it drives gross domestic product, and it provides really good-paying jobs. But we're at an inflection point here. Unless we start to take action and pay attention, this industry is going to go the way of the maritime industry. There is no U.S. maritime industry. That didn't happen on purpose. It happened because nobody in Congress and none of the regulators really wanted to pay attention to it.
Nick, I second your emotion. I thank you for joining us today.
Thanks so much, Rudy. I appreciate it.